It was a rainy Wednesday night in 1987 when something happened that no one has ever been able to explain. You give it a try. In just 9 minutes, a family's life would change forever. That's all the time there was. 17-year-old Leanne Green was stranded on the side of the road in Dickson, Tennessee. The car had run out of gas, and her brother left to get help. It was the night before prom. It wasn't the middle of nowhere, and it wasn't the middle of the night. It was a road they knew, and he wasn't gone long. When he came back, she was gone. There were no signs of a struggle. No evidence was left behind. Her purse, her keys were still there, but Leanne wasn't. In the hours that followed, as her family and investigators tried to piece together what happened in that short window of time, there were very strange eyewitness accounts, people who saw things, heard laughter, things that didn't quite make sense. And in the years that followed, there would be suspects, sightings, and moments that made even less sense than the night she disappeared. And to this day, no one has ever been able to fully explain how a 17-year-old girl could vanish that fast. This is what happened that night, and this is Tennessee Murder Trails. Retired TBI agents recounting their cases in an unprecedented look inside high-profile murders in Tennessee with Joe and Mike's 75 years of combined experience and Emmy-winning journalist Alex. Let's solve the abduction of Leanne Green.
If you were living in Dickson County in the late 80s, this is a case that stays with you just as much as it does the detectives that work it. The case of Leanne Green. Mike, this was something that you have told me on numerous occasions. You think about her a lot.
Oh, yeah. Even as the years go by, as different stages of your life, you go through different emotions because of this one case. A lot of agents will call it their career case. I don't think any agent would ever wants a career case because it's the one that stays with you because it's not resolved. And this is one of those cases in which we have a young 17-year-old who was violently abducted out of her vehicle on April 15th, 1987. And it was one of the most investigated, expensive, highly publicized cases of a stranger abduction that was worked during that period of time, and we still unresolved.
Can you take me back to that time in America? I mean, you hear a lot of stories about serial killers, but this was really the era where you were investigating multiple serial killers across the country.
Yeah, serial murderers themselves were quite active during the 80s and 90s and 70s. You know, we hear about the infamous ones like Ted Bundy and Henry Lee Lucas and all, but there were quite a few active serial murder cases that were going on, and also there were a lot of bodies that were being dumped during that time, unidentified bodies. And it was during that period of time there was a lot of murder investigations that we were tasked to and called out on.
Do you believe someone listening to this may have information that can solve this case?
I do. And I hope as years go by, people would be more able to talk about something that has been on their mind for quite some time. And I hope that there is someone out there that has information on Leanne's abduction. It's coming up on 39 years. It's a long time. And lots of times this is how cases are solved, by that one phone call that somebody makes and we follow up on it. And I hope that there's that one person out there, or maybe the murderer himself, if he is still alive, has told something to somebody. We always hope. You never give up on these kind of cases.
Tell me about Leanne.
She was just a 17-year-old from a small town, raised in a small town of White Bluff, Tennessee, and typical teenager, very excited. It was a night before her prom. Prom was set for the following day. But she worked as a part-time employee for the Holiday Inn that was located right close to Interstate 40. And she was a what we call a meter greeter. She would meet people that would come in to check in. And on this particular night, since it was kind of close to Easter, they convinced her to wear a bunny suit. So here she, this 17-year-old is dressed up in a little bunny suit, welcoming people to come in. And she had a twin brother named Lawson, and he also worked at the Holiday Inn part-time. Lawson had borrowed a car from his cousin to drive to the prom, so it was a little bit nicer car that he was going to have. Unfortunately, the gas gauge did not work. He knew that. They all knew that. But he picks her up at 9 p.m. when she gets off. And so she changed out of her clothes, and she left right about 9:09 p.m. She and Lawson are driving. They get within about a mile from the Holiday Inn. They're driving north on Highway 46. And at that time, it was a two-lane highway. But it was a Wednesday night. Church had just was letting out. There was a lot of traffic on the road. It was kind of misty, raining, so the weather, it was in the 50s. But the car started sputtering, and he knew that he was running out of gas, so he crossed over a railroad track that's still there. And so he gets out, and she's on the passenger side. He gets out, opens the trunk, and there's a gas can that's inside the truck, so he retrieves the gas can and steps back out. And within just that minute or two, a car pulls up behind them, and it was a family of four, and they had just gotten out of church. And it was the Puckett family. And so Mr. Puckett and Miss Puckett get out of the car, and they ask, could they give you a hand? And so by this time, Leanne was outside of the car, and Lawson was talking about running out of gas, and so they offered to give him a ride up to the closest gas station. And at that point, Lawson turned to Leanne, and she made the comment that she was scared. And he replied, "Well, come on with us." And she said, "No, I'll just stay in the car." And so she went back to the car and actually got in on the passenger side where she was sitting. She did ask him to leave the keys in the car. So it was parked, had the emergency flashers on, and so they leave to go to a gas station about a half a mile away. It was closed. They go through that station and come back out, and then turn and go back toward where the car was sitting there, the flashers on. All of them turned and just looked at the car as just to make sure everything was fine. Everything was. There was no vehicles near the car. So they go up to the next closest gas station, which was a Shell station close to the interstate. They get gas, and they come back. And all this happened in a span of less than 9 minutes. We actually replayed that whole event 3 times, and each time with everyone there, including even the clerk, we went through the whole motions of them getting gas, paying for it, less than 9 minutes. So we had a 9-minute window in which, when the Pucketts and Lawson returned, he started putting gas in the car.
Got finished pouring the gas in the car and went to the window to tap on it because I knew it was locked. And she didn't open it, so I peeked in the window because the windows were tinted and couldn't see inside.
And then he goes around to the passenger side and opens the door, and just no one's in the car. Leanne's purse is there, and the keys are on the armrest. So at this point, as anybody, he's like, where did she go? So the Pucketts and him were talking. They're talking together, and he said, I don't know where she could have gone. And so Mr. Puckett offered to take him back to the Holiday Inn, thinking that, well, maybe she went back to the Holiday Inn. So he goes back there. He said, no, we haven't seen her. It's not there. As Lawson was at the hotel, he called Leanne's boyfriend at the time. He said, no, I haven't seen her. And then he calls his parents, and he goes, I can't find Leanne. And so at this point, panic is starting to set in. He goes back to the car. They also start looking around in the whole area. There was, where she was parked, there was an access road that goes behind this business. Mr. Puckett went back there, and they waited for the family to get there, and actually friends started getting there too. Law enforcement had gone by and saw the car sitting there, and they were in the area. It was actually Tim Eads, who was a current sheriff, and he was a new deputy at the time. So there was a lot of activity on that road on that night. I will say the Dickson Sheriff's Office did just an amazing job. They responded and immediately got working on this case in less than an hour when she went missing. So their response time was pretty quick, and the investigation.
Because it wasn't like her to run off.
It wasn't
unusual.
It really did. And I got the call that next morning from Dickson County, and they told me what they had. And so it was by the next morning that we started working on it as well, getting with them. Because you want to look at all the facts. Who is she? She was just a typical girl, had a stable home life, had no history of drugs or running off, running away and all that. But she's just disappeared within 9 minutes.
She was the definition of a non-high-risk victim based on everything you learned about Leanne, which that is the most concerning part about her safety and her well-being, because that type of person that just vanishes and disappears, especially when they're found to have left their purse, their property, and there's no sign of any type of altercation, no witnesses.
Right.
She just vanishes. So that is. Where do you go, Mike?
We're getting ready to open up a crazy world of all types of suspects, all types of witnesses, and this became, of course, started becoming publicized by that weekend, and then the media, and it started going fast.
From Channel 4 News, this is the Scene at 10. With
5 weeks after their first date, Blaine Snyder searched the woods for the girl he was supposed to take to the prom. 17-year-old Leanne Green disappeared 3 days ago.
Doing something like this makes me just, I don't know, it makes it easier anyway. I feel like I'm doing all I can.
She was last seen along Highway 46 Wednesday night in a stalled car coming home from work. Today, searchers discovered some clothes and a cord in the woods, not far from where Leanne was last seen. Her best friend checked them to see if they belonged to Leanne. It was men's clothing, jeans, socks, and a t-shirt. Definitely not Leanne's. She prefers feminine clothes, her friends say, like the prom dress she picked out before she disappeared.
I was supposed to pick her up about 4 to get ready and everything, and then they were supposed to come pick us up, and we were just going to go, we were mainly just going to go have our pictures made and then go eat.
But Angie skipped the prom.
I just don't want nothing to be happening to her.
Terry Dorsey, Channel
One of the
4
things that we wanted to do is, first of all, we got the vehicle. The sheriff's office did process the vehicle. Unfortunately, there were about 11 people in and out of the vehicle before law enforcement got control of it. So we know we're going to have a contaminated
strike one.
Potential crime scene.
Yeah,
Strike one.
yeah. And so what we got at that point that's going against us is we have no really viable crime scene, and we have no body,
Right.
and we have no suspect. So we're kind of starting blind, very blind. But that doesn't hinder us in terms of putting the word out there and getting as much information as we can on that night. And once we did, I think it was exactly a week later, the week later when we did a reenactment, we also talked to a lot of people that went through there during that night. So we identified a lot of witnesses. And we had a very important witness who came forward, and he was a shoe store manager. He closed up the shoe store at 9 p.m. and he makes a deposit close by, and he looks up at the clock, and it's 9:09 p.m., 51 degrees, which exactly is what it was, 51 degrees. So, but he's driving south on 46, and he looks over and he sees this very attractive girl walking from a car that's parked unusually close with its bright lights on the Monte Carlo, on the car that Leanne was in, and she is seen walking from that car back to her car. And what catches his attention is that here's an attractive girl. What is she doing out in this mess? And it's time of night, and it just catches his eye. And so he's looking at her. He looks at the car, and then he just goes on. So we were able to corroborate that. Okay, we've got someone who's seen a suspect car that was parked unusually close. We had another witness who also saw the same thing.
And it was identified as a car and not a truck.
As a car, yes. Okay. Later on, we were even, and we'll get into this, but we were able to put him under hypnosis. I knew nothing about hypnosis, but we arranged with Vanderbilt Hospital, the certified physician who had worked with law enforcement before, and they put him under hypnosis, and he was able to give us this scene verbally as like a snapshot. Every snapshot that he was able to slow it down. The doctor was able to do this, and it was quite impressive. while he was under hypnosis, he described the car as either being it was a boxy car, and he described it as either being either a Chrysler product or a Ford. Back then it was a Ford Granadas. They were a boxy kind of car, and that's what it looked like to him. We were hoping that as he was looking, he would get some kind of view of the license plate, but he wasn't able to. But he did give us a little more detailed information on the type of car. When he came out, he had no idea what he told us. He didn't, he asked how he did, and so it was really impressive. We still didn't have a suspect. We did start learning as the days went by that there were actually 3 suspected serial / murderers that got off that exit that night.
Oof.
It was crazy. One got off who was actually driving a murder victim's car and went to Charlotte, Tennessee to visit his brother. We confirmed that. He was caught the next day down in Memphis. He was questioned quite heavily and just wouldn't give us anything. He was charged with the murder of the one woman and was also a suspect in a couple other murders across the southeast. So we're seeing these guys that are active in our area. But how is it that they could have got her out of her car in this short a period of time? But we had another witness who was very important, and his name was Bob Churchill. He owned the business closest to where the car, Leanne's car was, and he was watching a basketball game, and once the game was over, he locked up and was going home. Perfect timing. When the game was over was exactly a little after 9 p.m. Just the time frame was perfect. But what he said was very just off the rails odd. His story was he was locking up, he looks over, he sees the car, he sees that he sees a female inside the car, sees a flash of lights on, and he volunteered, he came forward. And but he says he heard some what he called chuckling, some low laughing coming out of the car. And so he gets in his truck, pulls his car up to the car with the headlights on, and he noticed that there was a female in the car, but it didn't look like anything else was wrong. And so he said he pulled out and just drove on. He said he was thinking about stopping and seeing if she needed any help, but decided to go. It sounded a little weird. It to the point where we knew that Leanne was not laughing. We knew that she was scared based on her brother and the Pucketts. So she's out there by herself. Where did this laughing come from? So with Mr. Churchill, we really put him not only in the microscope, but and I will say this to his credit, he completely cooperated. We searched his house, searched his business. We, did everything we possibly could to either eliminate him or make him more as a suspect. People they thought that Churchill had something to do with it.
Right.
And we had to place extra attention on him. I even got a call from an individual who said, she is in his freezer, in his deep freezer. We go back out there, surround the place. He opens up, do you have a freezer in here? Yes, sir. Do you mind if we look at it? Make sure he gave his consent. And of course there was nothing in the freezer, but just little things like that we had to follow up. But it was just that one thing about that incident, in which he was one of the last ones to see Leanne Green alive that we know, besides the murderer, but she's laughing. It just didn't fit.
Didn't you interview him years later too?
It's before I retired, I had an opportunity. Well, we followed some information we had, and myself and another agent located Mr. Churchill, and we interviewed him recently. And and I want to echo your sentiments about him, about just the feel of the interview. It was a little different, very cooperative, very accommodating. But one thing that stood out to me was he had some pictures from newspaper clippings. He kept a lot of that, and if you look at the history of people that take the time to cut out, preserve, maintain media reports on cases.
Yeah.
I know he was close to this. He was probably one of the last few people to see her based on his own state or hear her from the laugh. And he shared the exact same story with me he did with you.
Sound carries. Could it have been somebody somewhere? It's low clouds. It's raining. could that sound of laughter have been from somebody else somewhere that just carried? I don't know. I'm trying. I don't always try to think. Well, he's kept with that. He's maintained that. We knew pretty well what Leanne's frame of mind was, that she was scared. So I don't know. That was just one of those that did not fit in the, that just didn't fit.
But he is not a suspect.
Not a
today.
No.
Okay.
We put him through the ringer. He polygraphed. He passed the polygraph. We polygraphed Lawson, her brother, and so we were doing everything we possibly could to also eliminate any possible suspect that came up.
You mentioned 2 other serial murderers that got off at those exits. Did you chase them down, I would assume?
We did. We had another individual. I can't tell his name or say his name because he's still Joe. I think you worked the case on him where he tried to murder another person and she survived, but he was suspected of several disappearances. He got off that exit that night. He was in the company. He was supposed to be following 2 other gentlemen, and they actually came out with the information that he got off that exit, but they were supposed to meet at another location. He never showed up.
Right.
So we couldn't eliminate him. This guy's a true psychopath. That he was on our radar. He was on as a suspect of some other homicides that occurred in Middle Tennessee, in which he did have contact.
And one thing that separates him in the investigative part is that he never drove a car. He always drove trucks, and so never knew him or no evidence at all that he was ever in a car.
Correct.
That's why you asked that earlier. I heard you ask, was it a truck or a car?
So this was a person who, for some reason, suspect, who pulled up behind Leanne's car.
She may have thought it was the family returning.
And exactly.
Like you'd get out and greet your brother, get the gas in the car.
Or she went back there and thought, that's not the car, but I'm going to go back. I'm going to tell them that my brother's gone. So let me pose this question to you. She's walking back to her car. The clock is ticking. The 9 minutes she gets in her car. How would someone be able to get her out of her car forcefully within that span of time?
Did she ever make it back to her car? Did they see her get back into the car?
Our eyewitness who saw her all the way up to the car, the driver's side, and the driver's side door was locked. We're thinking she probably got in, locked the door, but the passenger side door was unlocked. So, but they saw her our witness saw her all the way on the driver's side door, getting in on that side. But my question was early on is, what would it take to get her out of the car that fast?
Mm-hmm.
The possibility is that when the car came up behind her and the headlights, it would have blinded her.
Mm-hmm.
She was not able to determine, was that her brother? And she may have just assumed it was and got out of the car. And then as she got back there, she realized, look, I don't know who this person is.
But then you're telling me, though, she makes it back into the car.
Based on the eyewitness who went by.
So what would have gotten her out the second time, you're saying, so quickly?
Why would she have gotten out so quickly to somebody she didn't know?
Did they hold a gun to her? Was she trying to run? What do you think?
I think that it was somebody who was posing as an authority figure.
Oh.
And I thought she wouldn't have questioned if someone
a police
threw a badge.
officer.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You need to get out of the car, hon. Come on. You got to come
We're
with
going to
me.
get you safe. You can't be sitting here on the side of the road.
Yeah.
You would absolutely comply.
I think what they would have done, a legitimate law enforcement officer would have just said, if you feel more comfortable, come on back here and you sit in my car with me till they get back.
That too.
And that would have been what she that's a very valid possibility of what could have happened.
I would have thought, if it was just
that may be why she left her purse in the car.
Because she was planning on coming back.
She was just sitting in the car with the potential law enforcement officer.
And that was our theory.
Right.
Because if it was just Billy Bob and he wants to get her out, she's going to put up a fight. She's probably going to run into traffic or do it. Yeah, and all that. Churchill would have seen all that. I would have thought. But had somebody got her out of the car quickly and taken off less than 9 minutes, and even less than that because they went by the car on the way to the other gas station. So, that clock was ticking, and then all these other people that came by.
Well, but also, how realistic is it that there's someone pretending to be a police officer that just happens to be there?
Oh, they were out there.
Wow.
They were out there. We had a lot of people that were, not a lot, but there were ones out there that were pulling women over, had little blue lights in their dash. We had actually one on I-40 who was actively working. He was pulling people over, and we suspected.
What was he doing with the people he got? Was he killing them?
No, he was fondling them, getting them out of the car and frisking them down. Yeah.
Hey, I hope that you're enjoying this episode so far. I am Jordan, the producer and editor for the show. You might recognize my voice from the intros. Each episode takes a monumental amount of time to craft because we want it to be as accurate as possible to the real locations, events, and people. And so because of that, if you want this show to continue, it would really, really mean a lot if you checked out our sponsor, Helix Sleep. In a world that's more dangerous than ever, getting good sleep can be tough. But with Helix Sleep, it just comes easy. You spend a third of your life in bed, so why settle for anything less than the absolute best? Helix is a premium mattress in a box company that makes mattresses and bedding that are customized to fit your unique needs, conveniently shipped right to your door. The Helix lineup offers 20 unique mattresses to choose from and a variety of mattress toppers. Helix offers soft, medium, and firm mattresses, and they even have different options for if you're a back, stomach, or side sleeper. Clearly, everybody is different, and Helix knows that, so they developed a sleep quiz that matches your unique body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you. Me and my wife could not agree on which mattress we wanted to get because we're both, different types of sleepers. I am a stomach sleeper and she is a side sleeper, and we like slightly different firmnesses of mattresses. So we took the sleep quiz together as a couple, and we were matched with the Helix Sunset Luxe mattress, and it truly changed our lives. The best part about all of this is that Helix delivers your mattress right to your door, and in the US, it's free delivery. It just comes rolled up in a box and is really easy to set it up yourself. If it makes you nervous to buy something online that you haven't tried yet, honestly, that's how I am. There's no need to worry because Helix offers a 120-night sleep trial, so that's 4 months to make sure that you love it. But with 82% of participants seeing an increase in their deep sleep cycles in a Helix Whisper sleep study, chances are you're gonna love Helix, the most awarded mattress brand. Plus, Helix mattresses have a lifetime warranty. They also have a Helix Comfort Adjust cooling pillow that you can customize to fit any preference or sleep position that you have. It's great for those looking to customize and adjust their pillows while also, helping with spinal alignment. I've been using it for a month now, and I've been noticing deeper sleep because it stays cool to the touch all night long. Invest in a pillow that you can customize over time to your body. I love my Helix mattress, and I really think that you would too. If you're looking to upgrade your sleep this year, now is the perfect time to do it. You can click the link below or go to helixsleep.com/TMT to take advantage of their spring savings event and get 20% off site-wide. Support our sponsor to support us. Now, let's get back to Leanne Green.
But I would like to get into one other guy that we put a lot of emphasis on because he was one of those guys who hung out at the Waffle House, hung out at the Holiday Inn, told people that he had saw her car, pulled up to her car that night, and we converge on this guy. And he's older guy, lives with his parents. His name was Ivan Harbor. Ivan told people that he had pulled up to her car. We found Ivan, interviewed him. And this guy was just nonstop with talking about Leanne, and he even gave us a drawing of how he pulled up to her vehicle. And he prefaced it with, and I'll never forgot this, he said, "The angle of reflection equals the angle of incident." And we asked, "Ivan, what is this? What do you mean?" He says, "The angle of my headlights on her vehicle defined what the incident was." And so we're thinking this guy's not all there, incredibly intelligent. We go to his...
Is it a clue?
In his mind, it is. I guess. We put him... We actually had FBI profilers that came in to help him, and they took over interviewing him. So they interviewed him for hours, while at the time, then we go into his house, his parents' house. We walked into a hoarder's house. There was only... The only way to get from room to room was a small path. Everything was stacked high, and so once we go into his room, it was laid out in which he had a podium. The podium had a spotlight shining out on the podium, and he had Leanne Green newspaper clippings all around it, highlighted. So we're really it's another one that this guy's obsessed with Leanne Green, and we've really got to work on him.
Did he drive a car?
He drove a car.
Mike, how long after the investigation started did he come forward?
Probably about 2 weeks. It was
2
within
weeks.
that 2 to 3 weeks. It was still hot. At that time, we were asking for assistance. FBI gave us 6 agents to come in, because once it became publicized and it turned into a media frenzy. As much as I wanted to be out there knocking on doors and I had to now turn into basically a facilitator in keeping up with the 6 TBI agents, FBI agents that we had, and also like 4 or 5 Dickson County investigators. They were all working, and we were working so fast and so hard running down leads, because leads started coming in by the hundreds.
Yeah.
Well, how did this guy get on your radar?
He began talking to other people about driving up to her car, and that turned into, we need to find out. And we confirmed that he was one who would go to the Holiday Inn. We totally eliminated him from all the other witnesses. He was not at the Holiday Inn on April 15th of that night that Leanne was abducted, but he was at the Waffle House there,
which is very close to this
very
location.
close. Yes.
Can you say it one more time? The angle?
The angle of reflection equals the angle of incident, and he based it all on what he saw with his headlights on the vehicle. He did say that another car was pulling up, and so he decided to pull out. We don't know if that other car was the suspect car that actually abducted her. We don't have Bob Churchill saying there was ever another car, so we've got him in there saying, Ivan Harbor saying that he pulled up to Leanne's car that night, and then another car was coming up, and he drives off. The Pucketts never saw any cars as they returned. It was empty, so that time frame is really squeezed and tight. Mm-hmm. Really tight.
Nothing else that he said would be something that only a suspect would know?
Nothing. He was pretty much one of the people that really came out that wanted to wish he was there. And
What you're saying, Mike, he interjects himself into the investigation.
Yes.
That's what you worry about. And they put themselves with enough information. A lot of times it's just obtained through media reports and through word on the street. This is absolutely before social media, but they choose. It's the way they live their life to be involved in high profile events because it makes them feel important.
He did not want to leave the interviews. The FBI actually had to just kick him out because he wanted to talk nonstop, and a lot of it just wasn't making any sense. And
can I go through an inventory now of who you have so far, just so I can keep it straight?
Yeah.
I want to try to solve this as we go along too, right? Okay, so you have this
Travis
gentleman,
McGuire, who got off the interstate driving the murder victim's car, Ivan Harbor, and another unnamed suspect who all were in the area that night. And then we have a fourth one who came on our radar a little while later. His name is Rob Richards. Rob was pulled over on a traffic stop, which led to his arrest. He attempted to abduct a nurse in Hardeman County several months after Leanne's abduction. And while they were conducting that investigation on Rob Richards, he admitted to abducting a young nurse by the name of Teresa Butler, who was abducted 5 months before Leanne's abduction. He admitted murdering her. She was taken out of her car under kind of similar circumstances. She was on her way home from work. Her car she didn't show up from work. Her husband actually drove out and found her car. She took the same route every day. The engine was running, passenger side door was open, and purse, everything was in there, and she's gone. So Rob came on our radar. I got a call from a West Tennessee agent that said, you really need to look at this guy because he was up in your area before April 15th. And so we've got him getting out of school. He was in this police auxiliary school. His last day there, he just left. And so he shows up in the Dickson, Hickman County area, meeting with a friend. And so there was enough information they were getting from Rob that they felt he needed to be interviewed concerning Leanne. And so I went down there and met with him, and he denied it first, and then he admitted abducting and taking Leanne and killing her.
Is this why you suspect that maybe there was someone posing as a police officer going up to her door? Was it him?
It was him. He fit that profile. He was pulling women over. He had all the equipment and also the uniform, posed himself as a police officer.
I wouldn't put anything past him. He told me he worked at the sheriff's department. He also said he worked for the FBI and CIA. His car was fully equipped as an unmarked car, with all the police gear that you would want in it. 3 radios, blue light.
Shelby County was working their case on him. He became the number 1 suspect of Teresa Butler, who was yet to be found. So we got him up here, and his MO, modus operandi, is pulling people over. He would fit the criteria of someone who would be able to get Leanne out of her car that quickly. So we had to really focus on him because he was the real deal too. He was women. He was abducting women, and then he's up here. The problem with Rob Richards, he was one of those guys who loved the attention. He wanted to be in the limelight, and he lied as much as he told the truth. But he did tell us something that only the murderer would have known about Leanne. No one else would have known, not even the parents.
To this day.
To this day. So he was one in which I developed. As I said before, you want your suspects talking, and you develop a rapport. If you have to become their best friend, yep. Be their best friend. People talk about, you should never promise anything. Well, we never promised him, but I sure did lie to him a lot. He was obsessed with the CIA, and he wanted to be a CIA agent. And I told Rob, I said, well, if we get this going, I said, I have some contacts. And, you're going to go to jail for a little bit, but,
when you come out, you could be a CIA agent.
I convinced him he could help while he's in prison if he wanted to be a CIA agent. So it's not funny, but it's whatever tactic you're going to, it's just let's get to the end game of let's find Leanne and also let's find Teresa. And he claimed that they were both in the same area. We went on this tour with him in which he would take us to different places, and he used the excuse that it wasn't just him. He had an accomplice, and this accomplice, we of course interrogated him, got him, did a complete background on him. He just wasn't fitting the profile. He was more of just, he'd never been in trouble. He did come up and meet with Rob. They were friends and they hung out and all that, but he was totally cooperative to a point. We instructed him, and the point I was making to him was that this guy, your friend, is accusing you of murder, that you were part of this, you were complicit, and we're going to put you two together. And if I was accused of murder, I'd be ready to. So you need to get Rob talking. Why is he accusing you? We got them together twice. Neither one would bring up anything about it. They just wouldn't. And so it was one of those, we couldn't eliminate this guy. He eventually moved to California. The heat was on him. He polygraphed, failed the polygraph. So there was a lot there with this guy, his accomplice, but not enough to charge him. But there was not enough to charge Rob Richards either. So we're dealing with that, working on that. Rob is promising, but he's also lying as much as he's telling the truth. He developed a really good relationship with 2 investigators out of Shelby County, convinced them that Leanne and Teresa Butler's bodies are in Cuba Landing. It's an exit off Interstate 40.
Back in Humphreys County.
In Humphreys County. The understanding was that only these 2 investigators go with him to the burial site. They set it up. None of the other agents that were out there were seen. They were all camoed up and in the woods and just kind of following along, but they didn't want to compromise. Rob getting upset because there's other people down there. But we weren't going to let these 2 guys go by themselves either. So he gets these 2 investigators out in the middle of nowhere in the woods, and then he pulls out what appeared to be a stick of dynamite and told the investigators he was going to blow them all up. One of the investigators allegedly took his shovel and laid it across Rob's head, and so he kind of tippy-toed back to the car. The stick of dynamite was something that was made out of soap and something else, and they were frustrated, and it was just another wild goose chase that Rob was putting them on. So we were pretty much done with him. The family the parents of Leanne was very puzzled and confused.
Understandably.
Oh, absolutely, because they were so amazing, and it was so heartbreaking, and they put the fire under my butt.
Earlier this year, a dog found a clump of hair attached to tissue in this 20-acre field. It didn't belong to Leanne, but her parents still wanted a second search of the area.
There's a lot of briars and a few hoes and all, so we just want you to be careful. Kind of watch the person beside of you to see where they're at.
I mean, it was one of those kind of relationships in which, like any family members, they just want closure.
Oh, I try not to put a lot of pressure on them as far as what I feel. I just feel like they're doing a good investigation because they want to know, just like we want to know.
Well, we pretty well figured that she did, but we want to know for certain one way or the other.
So we would get really close, we felt, and then it would end, and something else would happen. And but they actually went to the prison to interview and talk to him, and he talked to them. And at that point, he just denied. He said he made everything up, and so we didn't know what to believe. And then a few years pass, and I get a call from West Tennessee, and it was an investigator, and it was on a Sunday. We were getting ready to go to church, and she said, "Is this CIA agent Breedlove?" I go, "Excuse me, well, who is this?" And she identified herself, and she said, "Rob Richards is dead. He had himself murdered in prison." And I just thought, this has got to be a prank call. Of course it wasn't. And she said that the guy who murdered him, his cellmate, will only talk to CIA agent Breedlove. And is there any way you can come to West Tennessee? And I said, "Yes, I'm on the way." So Rob had convinced his cellmate, who was doing a double life term of a double murder conviction, that he was a CIA plant, and that had convinced him that he was in there strictly working for the CIA. He would make these calls to whoever and pretend like he was CIA talking to CIA. And but leading up to that, Rob had a unique reputation in the jail. He was kind of one of these happy-go-lucky guys. He had an unusual amount of money that was being smuggled into him. There was at one time somebody saw him with at least $2,000 in an envelope, and so he was getting cash in. So he befriended this guy who was an artist, and Rob put him on the payroll to paint these different paintings, and so he would sell some, give some away in the prison system, and he was just getting other things. So he had family members who was evidently getting him money in there. And he was confiding with the artist during the week. He was selling off all of his stuff and telling everybody that he was getting ready to be paroled out. And everybody was like, "You're not going anywhere." And he said, "Yeah, I've just signed the papers. I'm getting out of here." So he told his artist friend, asked him, "What would you think if I told you I was going to have myself murdered?" And the artist friend said, "I think you're crazy. What are you talking about?" He goes, "I'm going to have myself killed, probably sometime this week." And he goes, "Why?" He says, I'm not going to spend the rest of my life over Leanne Green. They're getting close. They're getting close to finding her, and I'm just not going to spend my life." So something was on his mind about Leanne Green that week. He knew, the inmate knew a lot about Teresa Butler, but he knew very little about Leanne Green other than what Rob told him. And Rob went back and forth with him, but one of his last conversations with him is that he had murdered her.
Did he get killed?
His cellmate was convinced that if he didn't kill Rob, that the CIA would come in and kill both him and Rob. That was his instructions. So he was pretty much compelled to have to kill Rob. Didn't want to. They prayed, they cried. All that was corroborated by other inmates on the night of his death. And they were telling two guys to shut up. And so...
How'd he kill him?
He got up in his top bunk of his bed, and he had gotten a hold of a extension wire, extension cord, and Rob instructed him that you've got to strangle me for at least 15 minutes. If you leave me brain dead, they're going to come and kill you. So you hold on. And the guy was saying, "I could only hold on for about 10 minutes. I just couldn't. I was exhausted." And so he murders Rob. And then the next morning, they opened up, and he hides all the stuff. Rob did instruct him before his death that there's a guy named Breedlove coming to see you, and you give him these 2 cassette tapes. And so they wanted the cassette tapes. They wanted me to come to talk to the guy, to convince him to turn over the cassette tapes.
You knew about the cassette tapes as you were driving down there?
Yes.
Are you thinking he is going to confess?
Oh, yes.
Are you thinking,
Absolutely.
I'm going to get it finally?
I'm hoping and I'm praying that, okay, he's going to tell us exactly where the bodies are, and we're going to have some closure. So I walk in, and the inmate's there. They got him in a room. He looks, first thing when he sees me, I introduce myself, and he says, are you here to kill me? And I go, no, I'm not here to kill you. I just want to talk to you. I want you to tell me. So he told me the whole story, and begging, for forgiveness, and please, don't kill me. I said, no one's gonna kill you. I said, but I want you to show me where the items that you have. Won't you show me where you hid them? And so he did. One of the other things Rob did was, inmates will keep everything, and any letters, correspondence, anything. So he kept all this. Rob kept all this stuff. He had a lot of information on Teresa Butler, a lot of news clippings and all. Not anything on Leanne, and probably because of where he was at, the location. He was in West Tennessee, I would think. But before he...
You mean because of news coverage? It wasn't their DMA to be covering it?
Yeah.
He didn't have access to the paper.
But Rob decided as a last laugh, he's going to urinate on everything, because knowing that we were going to go through everything, and he did. So I taken into custody the cassette tapes, and there they are. My heart's beating, and we got a cassette player, and I'm thinking, please, Lord, let this be it. And we put one tape in and start playing, and it's the sound of someone playing the guitar, singing. It was like a self-recorded tape of Rob singing different songs. Listen to his songs, his terrible voice all the way through, and turned it on the other side, and there was a whole side of George Jones, country music star at that time, singing different songs. And the other tape was Richard Pryor, the comedian, during the end.
Right, and he tipped away from the rest of the herd.
And there was something else, but nothing about Leanne Green, nothing about Teresa Butler. Just left me music. Something was on Rob's mind during that time. There was nothing going on as far as our focus on him. He was already serving 2 terms for aggravated of 2 different victims. But that lead ended with his death. So we never really I could never positively say, yeah, he's the guy that did it. And I couldn't say that he's not. He was our best suspect at the time, at that time.
So at the time of Richard's death, you had been investigating Leanne Green's disappearance for 7 years.
Yes.
What other key evidence were you looking into? Potentially other suspects? Mm-hmm. What else were you trying to run down? Lots
of things were going on, even that many years past her abduction. One of the things during our anniversary, it would come up, but we would generate a lot. But we had other things going on. And there were different networks that reached out, everything. At that time, there was like Unsolved Mysteries that was going on. There was also, I think, a show called Missing. So we were taking advantage of everything that we could to put her face out there and name out there. But came with that also was sightings of Leanne Green in every single state in the country. So we relied on a lot of law enforcement to run our leads down. But there were a few that felt so strong that we had to go and to that state, a particular state, and find this person. One in particular that stood out of all of them was coming out of Dallas, Texas, that were being seen by truck drivers, other people, that Leanne was dancing in a adult club, and that she's there. It's her. And we had that from more than one person, several that were calling in. So we knew that people were calling in, and it was enough that TBI said, go to Dallas. And so we flew down to Dallas. The Dickson county detective and myself flew down, met with Dallas police, kind of prepped them before getting down there, and they said, absolutely, whatever you need. So it was also kind of a viable lead in that could could Leanne have been used as a part of what we didn't know what human trafficking was back then, but could is she used as a prostitute and being held, against her will and forced to? So it was very, it's a probable scenario. While we were in Dallas, there was this one investigator who kept up with all the known prostitutes from their mug shots and different things, and so he was a wealth of information. We had Leanne's picture, and we're showing it around as well, and we find people that said, yeah, she's dancing in this club. We go to that club, and well, she's not here now, but she's dancing in this club. So we went on this trail of trying to locate her, and once word got out, and the Dallas police is putting the pressure on the people on these clubs. We need to find her. We got an address, just an address in a kind of a rough part of Dallas. So we go there, knock on the door. You see this woman coming to this door, and I'm looking at her and I'm going, oh my God, it's Leanne Green. It is her. And she was pregnant, about 6 or 7 months, somewhere around there. But when she opened the door, it was her twin. Everybody's got a twin. Well, I met her twin. She didn't sound like Leanne. We corroborated, confirmed her identity, but we showed her a picture of Leanne, and she goes, that's me. So that was one of those promising moments, but also it also said, people are looking. People are being alert. So
did their ages align?
Yes, everything lined up.
And you're sure?
We're positive.
Okay.
And she had a history, criminal history down there in Dallas and all. Okay. So but it was Leanne's twin sister.
And she grew up in the area? I mean, yes. There's nothing that could have been her.
Nothing. This went on. We kept on putting Leanne's picture out there. And as the months and years go by, your leads start dwindling. I had this one 84-year-old man who was given a deathbed confession, and he confessed that he picked Leanne up and murdered her. We go to the nursing home to interview him, and he had admitted, yes, I did this to her and all this, but he would have been like 70-something who was pretty much, we eliminated him completely. He lived kind of with his family, assisted living, never got out at night. And so,
why? Why would someone do that?
I think because her focus, or the focus of her and her name and picture and all that was out there. Some people, they just had thoughts that they were the one. People will come out and admit to it. And we had those people that came out and admitted to killing her.
That makes no sense. That happens?
Oh, absolutely. On a high-profile case, you got people will come out and Rob Richards could have been just that.
And I need to go ahead. This is probably a good segue. You remember when I went and interviewed the death row inmate before they executed him?
Yes.
He admitted to Leanne Green. Problem is, he was incarcerated when this all happened.
Yeah.
He'd been locked up years before. But he, just like Mike said, and he admitted that he was involved in the death of Leanne Green.
Yeah.
And they executed him not long after that.
That's right. Oh my gosh. I was just one person. There was so many investigators who spent their time and their energy, and they laid in bed at night wondering and wishing, and when it comes down to, and I'm not making excuses, but we didn't have a crime scene. We had somewhat of one. We knew her vehicle. We had no body. We didn't have her body. So we didn't have that start. And we didn't have a true viable suspect that we could put enough leverage on that would turn the page on this. So we had three things going against us. She just disappeared. And there's even to this point, I always hoped, and Miss Green and Mr. Green did too, and we talked about it often, about one of the things that she told me was we were just talking, and she called me every day, and when we talked, and it was a roller coaster ride, because she would stay angry with me, as any parent would. We weren't doing enough. In our conversation, she talked about, because the years have gone by, that she's really kind of forgotten about how Leanne walked, how she talked. And
I just feel like I should remember how much I walked and how she talked. but I don't. And I guess that's God's healing process.
You know, it was just sad to see that, the process of her going through that. And she said that she developed cancer, and she was dying one time when I was with her. And I asked her, she said she was really happy because she was going to see Leanne again. And I said, would you please, if you could, Miss Green, send me some kind of message, haunt me in the middle of the night, do whatever you can, just give me something so we can find her. Yeah. But tough case. Yeah. So
I think just too, you being a father, right, and thinking of what that's like.
Yeah.
It
really hit me hard when my daughter turned 17.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, you know, you can't help but get emotional on these because you live these cases, and then you see, you know, this is the one that you just couldn't find closure. You just really wish you could know and take that to your grave, knowing that she was found.
Are all of the other suspects you mentioned dead, or are there any still living?
It's about 50-50.
Is there a detail too small? Or if someone remembers something, should they bring that forward?
I hope that there's somebody who just has some kind of information that's been on their mind, and they've kept it inside of them that may not seem that important to them, but may turn out to be the linchpin, the one thing that we need to break this case or to open it back open. So anybody who's out there who does have something, who knows something, who had some suspicion, you know, it would be great if they could call in, if they could call the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation and at least let them know that they've got some information that they want to share.
Can they stay anonymous?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we've taken a lot of anonymous calls, and we have to weigh them also on their own merit. This is one of those cases in which we just need luck. We need some luck, which we haven't had for so long.
The way I refer to that is you're waiting on that gift to fall out of the sky.
Yeah,
and it's possible. We've seen how these cases does happen. You think about it often, and maybe one day you're going to get that phone call, Mike, that you deserve, and the Dickson County Sheriff's Office deserves.
Yes.
And Lawson deserves. Let's stay on it. I know that the law enforcement side will never give up. I can tell you from even the new generation that has these cases, from TBI to the Sheriff's Office, the last thing they're going to do is be too busy to deal with Leanne's case. That's a guarantee.
Yeah, this is the code case that no one would ever want.
Right.
But it's also the one in which we'll do everything we possibly can to bring some kind of finality to it. It just, one homicide investigator told me years ago, and I was I think crying in my beer with him, but he had said, and it's not a defeatist kind of thing, but he said, you can do everything you possibly can, cover every lead that comes your way, and do everything within your human power. And sometimes it's just not there. That one thing that you need is not there. And then sometimes it just comes just out of luck, out of a phone call. And that's what we're hoping at this point. We just need some good luck to bring Leanne home.